Hello, and thank you for joining this afternoon's headline keynote presentation, IBM Lessons Learned on the Cloud. We're very glad to have you join us this afternoon, and we have had a change in speakers for this event. Sorry for the change, but we are very pleased to have Dima Rakesh with us. Dima is part of the strategic IBM Cloud Computing Enterprise Initiatives team, and he has had the opportunity to work on a large number of large-scale web application platforms, emerging internet technologies, social media, as well as leadership data centers and green data center strategies for IBM. And Dima, again, will be taking us through the IBM Lessons Learned on the Cloud. Before we get started with the session, I would like to ask that we use either the chat or the Q&A functions to enter any questions that you might have as we go through today's presentation. We will hold all of the questions until the end, and then we will save about the last 10 to 15 minutes of our time together today to go over the questions that have come in from the attendee panels. So with that, I will turn it over to Dima, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much, and I hope you can hear me okay. Please say so. Otherwise, it's a pleasure to be speaking before all of you on this virtual event. As Janine mentioned, I've had a pleasure of working in a number of different areas of technology, internet technologies, and so from that perspective, cloud computing really is an amazing model, I think, because it really represents a convergence of many of them, and touches upon so many layers that were previously somewhat, firewalled from one another. So I think we'll get to it during this presentation. But I think again, I think it's an amazing model, and it really exposes to some extent, right, some of the many inefficiencies that we have had in various levels of IT, from the data centers to potentially inefficient software and so forth. So first off, if I might, let me say that I'll focus this presentation mainly on the development and test cloud. Obviously, clouds. There are so many clouds nowadays, right? And on top of everything, clouds mean different things potentially to different people. But even at IBM, if you look at this slide, you'll see that we have essentially at least three main layers, right? Basically the external clouds, the internal clouds, and the cloud systems. And they can be applicable in so many different areas. So we really need to have focus. And so I'll mainly limit my experiences to the development and test. Now, on the next slide, I just wanted to, in case you have already seen this, right? What we've done is we took a look at the various areas of IT that could benefit from cloud. I guess from the cloud framework or the cloud approach, and you can see some of them listed here in this slide. It's a multidimensional chart, really, right? So you could see that we on the XY axis, right? We kind of map the potential gain from a cloud environment and the pain to cloud delivery. But we also put at least 4 or 5 different other dimensions here on this chart, right? Which represents the type of architecture that an individual system could represent. So we know that in general, applications with a highly variable spiky load benefit from the cloud, right? So here you could have an example of something like Twitter, where load is completely unpredictable, and so therefore you kind of think, oh, if I have an elastic environment, I can deal with my peaks and valleys, or perhaps a highly seasonal business or something, right? So that's why you'll see, something like collaboration, web serving there in an upper area. But then you kind of start thinking about your production environments, and you often think that production is sort of a different beast altogether from, say, application development and test, because production really is something that you don't want to touch or expose to novel technologies necessarily. right? So you might say, well, you know, my production machines are running, I don't want to touch them. They've been running for a while in some cases, right? And so you know, if I want to adopt something, right, experiment, I'll just use my dev and test machine. So that's the kind of line of reasoning that leads you to the application development and test as the, you know, as a potential area for applicability of cloud. And we've seen it over and over again with our clients. So again, you know, there's a lot of other areas where cloud can come in highly useful. You know, like I mentioned, you know, highly spiky web applications and so forth, where you don't have a choice potentially, right? Or some sort of numerical simulations, or you know, high performance computing and so forth. But you know, again, I'll limit myself for this presentation to application development and test. Some of the benefits, you know, I see many of you have probably some experience with the cloud, just looking at the list of attendees here. You know, cloud in general can be applied in many different ways, as I mentioned. I think, again, for development and test, there is some particular benefits that we see, right? I mean, the speed and agility probably is the key here. But a lot of times, folks talk about cost, and, you know, of course, we also